Well, hello. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I am making a cornbread salad, and I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I have never made a cornbread salad before. This will be my very first time, so we're going to do this together. I had a viewer reach out to me a few weeks ago, and she asked if I had a good cornbread salad recipe. And I thought, you know, that is something that I have never made before. So I thought, I'm going to give that a try. And I reached out to a good friend of mine, Kyndal. She makes an amazing cornbread salad. And I asked her for the recipe and also asked her if she minded if I shared it with you. And she said, absolutely, share away. So Kyndal, thank you for this recipe. If mine turns out half as good as yours, I know that we've got a winner. Now, the recipe starts out with, of course, cornbread, and it calls for a box of the Jiffy Cornbread mix. I made this before I left for work this morning. I just let it sit out on the counter while I was gone, and now it's perfectly cooled and ready to go. Now, on a side note, I did boost this mix just a little bit. I had some buttermilk, so I replaced the milk in the recipe with buttermilk. And sometimes when I don't have buttermilk, I'll use a little bit of sour cream and milk, mix that together, and it's delicious. Now, the cornbread needs to be crumbled. So I'm going to take this and just take my hands and crumble it into nice pieces. You don't want big chunks of cornbread in this, but you also don't want crumbs. You want a little bit of texture to it. So I'm going to take that. Look how easy this is. This looks good. Perfect. Nice little crumbles here. It smells so good. I love cornbread. I love making it from scratch, but if I don't have time, the Jiffy is definitely my go-to mix because it cooks in a jiffy. Oh. All right, there we go. This looks great. Okay, now I'm going to set this aside. And next, I'm going to start on what she calls the dressing. And the dressing is basically sour cream and mayonnaise. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups of mayonnaise. So I'm just going to get that in here. I love mayonnaise. And it also calls for 16 ounces of sour cream. And so I'm just going to put this whole thing in here. Now, she made sure that I understood that I am not to skimp on the dressing because it is the glue that holds everything together and it gives it so much flavor. Now, I am adding something to the recipe, and that's some fresh chives. I think it's going to give it just some great freshness and a little extra flavor. This ingredient is totally optional, so feel free to add or eliminate based upon what you like. I'm going to give this a quick chop. Good grief, they're just popping off everywhere. Oh, they smell so good. Now, I'm going to put that in here and stir it all together. And you know what? I'm going to take these little bits and put those in there too. Waste not, want not. Now I'm going to stir this together. Make sure everything is well blended. Oh, I hear the garage door. My husband is home from work. All right, now I'm just going to set this aside. You know what? I'm going to go say hello to my husband. I'll be right back. Well, my husband's doing good. He told me to tell y'all all. He said hello. So let's get started on the rest of this. Now, also before I left for work this morning, I thawed out a cup and a half of frozen petite peas and a cup and a half of frozen corn. Now, you do not have to cook this. Actually, corn and peas can be eaten right out of the bag. They've been steamed a little bit before they freeze them, so they're already cooked. I don't want to cook these anymore because they're going to lose that fresh taste and they'll also lose their color. And to me, the color is one of the prettiest things about this salad. This looks so good. Now to this mixture, I'm also going to add a half a cup of chopped bell pepper. You can use whatever color bell pepper you want to. To me, the green look the best. I have a trash can back here. And what you do with the bell pepper is just pull out the membrane and make sure all of the seeds have been removed. And she said a half of a cup, so I'm thinking a half of a pepper will be exactly what I need. And I'm going to cut this in strips. I'll show you an easy way to chop. This is an optional ingredient. If you're not a fan of bell peppers, then leave it out. If I were still living in Texas, I would not be opposed to adding some fresh jalapeno to this. But it does give it a crispness and just a really great flavor. Just hold these all together. I should have gotten a bigger cutting board. Just cut them in nice pieces. Make sure there's not any really big chunks. It's delicious, but you don't want just a big mouthful of bell pepper. I'm making this for my cousin's birthday party. She is turning 61. She is probably going to be furious that I shared that, but hey, she looks fabulous and I would be proud to look as good as she does. And all of the family is getting together, and I thought this would be a great thing to bring over and enjoy. All right, these are going to go right into this corn and peas. And next, I've got some cherry tomatoes. The recipe calls for a cup of cherry tomatoes, and I am going to slice these into the really big ones. I would even maybe quarter them, because again, we don't want just a big chunk. If you don't have cherry tomatoes, then definitely use just a regular sized ripe tomato. Just make sure you cut it into bite-sized pieces. And because the regular whole tomatoes are a little bit juicier, I would get some of the seeds and the juice out of that before I add it to the peas. Done. Isn't this already looking beautiful? Now I'm going to grab my bacon and my ham. That is what's going into this next. I'm going to share a little secret with you. A lot of times when a recipe calls for cooked bacon, I will use the pre-cooked bacon. It is wonderful in recipes. You don't have to cook it, although a lot of times, don't tell my husband this, I hope he doesn't hear me. When I'm in a hurry and I cook breakfast before he goes to work, a lot of times I'll put this in the skillet and render it down, and it is delicious bacon. Now I'm going to cut this just into small pieces. I love this. Now, feel free to cook the bacon, and you can also put this in a frying pan and render some of that grease out, but I am just doing it just like this. Easy peasy, it saves time, and it is so good. Just get a nice chop on that, and in it goes. Last but not least, I have the ham that goes into this. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups of diced ham, and I'm just using the pre-diced ham. Great time saver there. That looks good. Save a little bit back. My husband loves this in omelets. It is so good. All right, now comes the blending it all together. Wow. Now this recipe makes a lot, and I am serving a crowd, but if you want to make this and scale it down a little bit, it can be divided easily. Now look how pretty these colors are. All that green and red. I'm just going to stir this until everything is evenly distributed throughout. Okay, I think that's good. Now I have a trifle bowl because I like seeing all the colors in the salad, and what we're going to do is start layering this. Now, if you don't have a trifle bowl, any bowl that will hold this will do, or even a casserole dish. But I think it's nice when you serve it to your guests that they can see the layered salad and know exactly what's in there. I'm starting out with a little bit of the dressing. This smells so good with those fresh chives in there. And I'm putting this on the bottom. See how I'm doing that? Just a nice little thin layer. And now I'm going to take the cornbread and I'm going to sprinkle a few handfuls on here. Make sure that I get it all evenly distributed. Now, I don't know how many layers this is going to make because, like I said, this is my first time to make this. Now, I've got a big chunk there, so I'm just going to take that and break it up. It looks so good. And now I'm going to take my vegetable mixture. I'm going to make a nice layer. This is so pretty. That looks about right. Now I've got some cheese. Now this is the 4 Mexican cheese, and it's about 2 cups. If you want to add some more cheese, then by all means, more is always better. One can never have enough cheese. And I'm going to put a layer of that all over the top. Look at that. Make sure that you bring it all the way out to the sides because you want to see these layers. It looks great. And now I'm going to start over again and put a nice layer of dressing on this, making sure that I get all the way out to the edges. Just turn it. That looks so good. Yum. I want to lick this. Just put all of that in my mouth, but I'm not going to. Now, we're starting over. I'm going to put another good layer of cornbread. This looks about like all I'm going to get. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the rest of this dressing on top. Ooh, this looks so good. Kyndal, thank you for sharing this with us. I think my family is going to love it. Now, in her recipe, she says, whatever you end with, make sure that you finish it with cheese. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? So I'm going to sprinkle this cheese on the top. And I'm going to take a little bit of this cornbread just so people know that this is a cornbread salad. And I'm going to put that on the top as well. Just a little bit. Look at that. And the longer this sits, the better it's going to get. These flavors need to all marry together. So as they sit, everything is going to blend. And to garnish this, I'm going to take a couple of these chives. Again, so people know what's in it. And I'm just going to put it on the top there. Now, doesn't this look good? Oh, I can't wait to show up with this. It's so pretty and impressive. Well, that's it. I am finished and done. Listen, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you'll try this. I can't wait to try it. You know what? You know, I've just got to try a little bit. Just take some right off the top. That is so good. It is absolutely delicious. And I know that it's just going to keep getting better and better and better. And please don't cook those peas. They are perfectly soft and fresh. They have just a little bit of texture. I'm going to cover up my bite there, and no one will know that we've tried it. And that little bit of chive is not overpowering, but it just gives it a little kick. And I'll tell you what, if you wanted to add a little cayenne pepper to this dressing, that would be good too. Just take it and make it your own. I know Kyndal won't mind. Thank you so much for joining me today. I always enjoy my time with you, and I hope that you will have a blessed day. You are a blessing to me, and hopefully this is going to be a blessing to my family. I'll see you next time.